Joseph, my man, welcome back to the channel. Greg Thomas here with White Whale Fishing. Hey, I really hope you're enjoying the gifts. Christmas is such an awesome time to be able to spread holiday cheer, send people presents, and if you're lucky enough to be able to open some presents. And in my opinion, there's nothing better than getting free tackle Christmas morning and then making your way out to the lake or to the river, or to the stream Christmas Day and trying to catch some fish. So we've got some videos coming up. Gonna be talking a lot about the baits in the box. Really excited to be able to share with you my perspectives on things, and keep in mind that that's exactly what these are. They're just my perspectives. They're the ways that I fish the baits, the ways that I rig the baits, and the way what has worked well for me in the past. Doesn't mean there's not other ways. I highly encourage you to do some Google searches, do some YouTube searches for all of these baits, and continue to expand your knowledge base. But with all that being said, let's jump into it. Thanks. All right, so the first batch of baits that we're talking about, or the first area of the water column that we're going to focus on, is bottom baits. And I've made a couple of minor changes from the initial video on what baits I'm going to send you, but basically I'm going to send you a stick bait, right? Gary Yamamoto Cinco. I'm going to send you a creature bait, and this is a Christie Critter. I'm going to send you a craw style bait, and this is a power bait Pit Boss. And then I'm going to send you a worm, and this is an ultravide speed worm by Zoom. All of these baits, majority of the time, are going to be rigged Texas style or Texas rigged. So that's really what we're going to focus on. Every single one of these baits can be fished without a weight or with a weight. A Cinco is typically going to be fished without. A Christie Critter is typically going to be fished with a weight. This is typically going to be fished with a weight, and this is typically going to be fished with a weight. But you don't have to conform to the norm. All right, so first thing I want to talk to you about is Texas rigging. And a Texas rig typically uses some sort of worm hook. This is referred to as an EWG offset worm hook. EWG stands for extra wide gap, and that is the space between here and here. So we're going to keep this as simple as possible, and we're going to talk about a Texas rig. Texas rigging this now the Texas rig is pretty much going to work the same for all of these baits. You're going to find your hook, place your hook point in the middle of the worm, and you're going to go down about 1/4 of an inch. Then you're going to come out the side. You're going to bring this worm over the shoulder of the hook, and then the eye of the hook can either rest there, or if you bring it down further, can rest inside the worm, and this eye will be completely covered. At this point, what you want to do is you want to straighten your worm out to see where this hook point is going to come out. And you're going to want to mark that area either with your thumb or hold its spot. I'm then going to take the point of that hook, go straight through the worm, and bring it all the way out on the other side. Now I'm going to do what's called Texpose. So I'm going to take the point of this hook and I'm going to bury it. I'm going to pull this plastic up and then kind of bury the tip of the worm hook over, or the plastic over the tip of the worm hook. That way it can be as straight as possible. And this isn't the best straight job, but I'm looking at it through a camera screen. But this is basically the rigging in a nutshell. So like I said, Texposing is taking the tip of that hook, pulling this plastic up and then out and over, so the tip of this hook gets buried and your worm is nice and straight. What happens as the bass clamps down on this hook point will come through when you're ready to set the hook. The type of weights that I would recommend fishing with this, if you're going to fish a weight, would be a bullet weight. And these are just lead bullet weights. You can fish anything as light as a 1/16 ounce all the way up to a 3/8 if you wanted to. But that's pretty much it, a Texas rig in a nutshell. All right, we're gonna take a look at Texas rigging the Pit Boss. And if I didn't mention earlier, this is a 5/0 hook. For any of these baits, a 4/0 or a 5/0 hook will be the best size for you. Now this Pit Boss is a little on the big side. This is a 5-inch guy. This color is called Okeechobee Craw. I think this color, if you have the type of water in Georgia that we have in Florida, it's a little dark. It's almost like iced tea in color. This color is going to work really, really well for you. So with regards to this Pit Boss, you can see here that one side has some ribs and the other side really doesn't, right? There's a little bit of a hook slot here. So you can go in this way or you can go in this way. I don't necessarily know that there is a proper way to go in, but I'm gonna go in this way and have this hook come out here, and I'll show you why. So once again, typical Texas rig in. Let's make sure we go in through the middle of the bait. In, out, over the shoulder, line it up. Where's it going to go through? It's going to go through right there. Go all the way through the bait, right? And then I can Texpose, and I can use these little rubber ridges to help Texpose, and that's it. Totally weedless. Cast it out with a weight, cast it out without a weight. That's it. All right, now we're talking about the Christie Critter, creature bait. What is this supposed to imitate? I don't know. A bluegill? Who knows? Again, 4/0, 5/0 is going to work really well. But before we get to the rigging, so we've got some little appendages here, right? Make sure that you break those off. Break that off. Make sure that none of these are connected, right? None of those are connected. Cool. Make sure that these don't need to be separated. Once you've got everything separated, see these flaps here? These flaps are designed to kind of open up as this is going over logs and things of that nature. So you may be asking yourself, does it matter what side of the hook I put this on? Does it matter what side of the bait I put this on? Should I rig it like that or should I rig it like that? Well, with this bait specifically, one thing I want you to do is take the bait, run it over your fingers, and if you notice that the flaps want to open, then that's the correct way to rig it. See how they kind of want to open there? And they didn't necessarily want to open very much right there. So they don't want to open much there. I'm going to take the bait, roll it over, but they do want to open there. That's where you're looking to rig it. So this should be where your hook point comes through. That way, when it's going over a log, those flaps open up and give you some secondary movement, right? So I want my hook coming through on this side, which means that I'm going to go in on this side, come out here, up the hook, over the shoulder, through the bait, and then, you know, basically rinse and repeat what we've done with the other baits. Through the bait, Texpose it, rock and roll. There's your rigged bait. Needle point is hidden, nice and weedless, ready for a bullet weight, ready to hop around some grass mats and lily pads and things of that nature and get chewed up. All right, on to the last thing we're going to talk about is the Cinco, or the stick bait. Arguably, I don't even think it's arguably, I think it's kind of proven, the #1 selling bass bait of all time is the Cinco. And it can be fished a bunch of different ways. You can fish it wacky, and that's taking a hook like this, running it through there, casting it out weightless, and then it kind of comes through the water and does this kind of motion, right? But we're going to talk about weedless, Texas rigged. So one of the most important things to understand about this bait is that it has a flat side, and I'll show you what I mean. I do this so you can see it, so the viewers at home can see it too. this bait has a crease. And I don't know if you can see that line right there. That line runs all the way down the bait, right? That is the flat side of this bait. And what you want to try and do is have this rigged so that that crease is pointing downwards. That is going to give you the best shimmy and wobble on the way down. I would highlight, this is a 6-inch Cinco, not a 5-inch Cinco. So with a 6-inch Cinco, I would definitely recommend a 5/0 hook. Or a 4/0, that'll work as well. So you go in, you come out, you go over the shoulder. The eye of the hook is going to go inside the bait, right? You line it up where you're going to go in, where you're going to come out, and then you texpose. And you cast that puppy out there, and as it sinks, it kind of undulates on the way down. And where these baits are typically fished with a bullet weight, and you can hop it, you can lift your rod tip up. This, you're going to do the exact same thing, but this you're just going to fish a little bit slower. You can rig this with a bullet weight. I know a lot of guys, one of my closest friends in the world, Avery in Orlando, him and his boys, they fish this lure all the time. And they fish it with bullet weights, and they catch big uns in Central Florida. I like to fish this weightless. And like I said, cast it out, it's going to sink on the way down, it's going to undulate. And then once it gets to the bottom, you can twitch it. And when you twitch it, you can twitch it soft. You can lift your rod tip up and it'll come up and slowly quiver back down. You can twitch it so it's jerking erratic like a jerk bait almost. You can skip this under docks, but this is a fish catching machine. So we kind of wanted to cover our bases with regards to the Texas rig, because we're going to see some more baits that are going to be Texas rigged as we continue on in the box. But these are the bottom bouncing baits that I've got in store for you. So next video is going to be middle of the water column, and then the last video is going to be top waters. Hope you enjoyed it. Tight lines. All right, so video number 1, bottom bouncing baits in the books. Figure out how the bass want it. The majority of the time when I'm fishing soft plastics on bottom, I'm typically fishing slow. Soft plastics just get bit. My largest bass that I've ever caught in my life came out of Boca Raton, Florida. It's estimated somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 pounds. I was in middle school, and it came on a Texas rigged Berkeley power worm in red shad color. So these baits are not to be overlooked. They're not the most, dramatic, but their fish catching ability is proven, bar none. So make sure you give these baits the time that they deserve on the water, more so probably than any other baits, because these baits will catch fish for you year round, all 4 seasons. Even into the winter, plastics get chewed. Spring, summer, fall, plastics get chewed. So yeah, the Texas rig is probably the most universal rig in the world, and I bet you it's probably one of the techniques that's probably caught the most biggest bass ever, if I had to take a guess. But I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave me some comments below, leave me some questions. Love to interact with you on this. Don't forget to smash that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out the more you can engage with me on these videos. So hope to see you out there on the water. God bless. Tight lines.